Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we are doing a deep dive into my monthly income high yield portfolio. This is something I go over every month, keeping tabs and updating everybody on how the portfolio is performing, the consistency of the dividends and the income off of the different ETFs that I own, and basically how they are stacking up against the broader market overall. Guys, as always, nothing here is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. If you go ahead and hit that like button, I would really appreciate that. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. We do weekly videos here going over different ETFs and investments in the Canadian landscape. Now, what you're looking at here is the front page of my portfolio, just the overall profit, daily changes, passive income yields, stuff like that. You guys can see that some of these ETFs are starting to pop up today. Bitcoin is coming a little bit back up. Canoe EIT actually surprisingly took a pretty big hit the last few weeks and it's starting to climb back up. It was over $17 for quite a while. And then we have some upcoming dividends, but for the most part, you guys, everything has been paid out. So before we jump into the dividends, I'll just take a look at the last month. I like to benchmark my portfolio against the S&P 500. And you guys can see here that my portfolio is actually beating the S&P 500. If I was 100% just invested in the S&P, I would be down over $13,000 just this last 30 days or so. And because I have those dividends coming in every month, I can tactically deploy them, put them into different funds, diversify things, and buy the dip, right? And that's what that passive income is all about. You get opportunities to deploy that capital and look for opportunities out in the marketplace. So my current yield on this portfolio is just over 15%. And we do actually have some natural dividend growth in there. So we'll take a look at the last few months. In January, we weren't quite at $7,000, but what I did was I swapped out some ETFs, bought into a few more higher yield things like QDay, just to boost that yield up a little bit more. And then you can see here that we were at 7,400 and that changed to 7,500 in March. And next month, we're actually looking at 7,600. So you can see that income growing over time. It's really nice to see that snowball at work. Now, as far as March, everything's been paid out. We are just waiting on a couple of payments, but everything's been pretty steady, guys. HHIS, there's been no changes, 27 cents per month. USCL, this is the only thing that, the only investment that I have right now where I've kind of been expecting some fluctuation. It did drop from 24 and a half down to 24. And I mean, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if there is another small drop. Not that I'm happy about it, but HYLD has been very consistent. It's actually over a 13% yield right now just because of that price. And everything else has been great. CDAY has been bumping that dividend up a little bit, which has been good. And then ENCC, because of what's been happening this last few weeks with oil and gas, it has been coming back up. So I don't know if they'll increase that dividend back to 13 cents. Once upon a time, ENCC was paying 13 cents. So that would be a nice little boost if they decided to do that. And big shocker here with BCC. They're paying 17 cents a share. And I'll just jump into BCC here real quick. It's one of my, I'm down like over 25% on this one. But if you guys look at the dividends here, they were at 14 cents. And then in November, they raised them to 17. And they've been holding steady at 17 cents per share. I'm not sure how that's really possible because most other Bitcoin related stuff has been dropping and the share price on this one has also dropped. You guys can see it was trading over $20 a share and it's currently, around $13 or so. They're still maintaining that 17-cent dividend. It's a bi-weekly or a bi-monthly dividend. So that is, we'll see how long they keep that up. But I thought that was pretty interesting that they could keep paying that 17 cents per share. Now, like I said, guys, as far as the portfolio is concerned, that dividend snowball is definitely taking effect. March, we're at about 75.50 for payouts. just waiting on second payouts from C-Day, Q-Day, and one from Canoe EIT. But April is over 7,600, and so that's over a $50 per month change. And I did take about $2,000 out of this portfolio so far this month. I'm just taking out what I need for living expenses and stuff like that, guys. If I need more, I'll take more. I'm actually not really tracking it alone yet, but if anyone's curious about a budget or how much I'm kind of scalping off the top of the portfolio, let me know in the comments, because I can still take a few $1,000s and grow this income easily over $50 a month at this point, which is quite a nice feeling. Now, as far as how the performance is doing, you can see my top performer here is HDIV, closing in on 30%. Canoe EIT slightly behind. ENCC has been climbing too, just because of the oil and gas stuff lately. C-Day's been doing really well. HYLD is, it's doing good as well. And USCL, because I've held it now well over a year, it does have a total return that is, close to 10%. We're at about 8%, but that is not at all related to the share price. My share price cost basis on this one is, I'm down on capital, right? I'm down about $5,300 on capital, but because of that income, it brings my total return to close to 9% on USCL. And that just goes to show, guys, the longer you hold these things, eventually with that income coming in, you will get in the green, but it is time in the market versus timing the market. HHIS, the share price has been down from what my average cost is. My average cost per share is close to $12.50 here on HHIS, and it's still trading under $11 a unit. So even with all that income, which is close to $13,000, I'm down about 2% on HHIS. We'll see how things change over the next month with HHIS. But guys, you can see clearly here that my broad market based stuff like HDIV and Canoe EIT, even C-Day, a lot of the Canadian blue chip stuff is doing really well lately, and that is keeping my portfolio afloat. That is keeping things from getting absolutely wrecked. It's nice to have diversification between the US, some Canadian stuff. What I think I'm missing here is some international stuff like EQCL or something like that. And that may be my next thing to look into. I have some issues with EQCC and EQCL just with AUMs and liquidity, but I think my next ETF that I'll look into would be something with some international exposure. There's a new one from Evolve called Easy. I don't believe it's trading yet, but it's going to have, it's not trading yet, but it is going to have exposure to Biggie, Inti for international, and Cami for Canadian high yield stuff. So that could be one option, but you guys can see clearly here that the more diversification within these ETFs like HDIV doing very well, and then super concentrated with Bitcoin, you just have, you're under one asset class. And unfortunately, because Bitcoin just hasn't really been doing that good, I'm down 25% on this, but it's a small position within my portfolio. The share in my portfolio, you guys can see, is only less than 1% in Bitcoin. So luckily, I didn't go all in on Bitcoin or MSTE or something like that, like some people have. But even things like HHIS, guys, are feeling these hits from the crypto and Bitcoin related stocks. So I guess what I'm saying here is the more diversification you have, the safer, quote unquote, safer your portfolio might be. Of course, you are going to sacrifice some yields. You could get a much higher yield with something like Bitcoin or the crypto stuff. But again, you've got to be able to tolerate that risk. Right now, this is about, as risky as I'd like my portfolio to be. I do like to see that income stay pretty stable, which, as you guys can see here, for the most part, it has been, and it has still been growing consistently. Be looking for April to be over $7,600 a month. And with that, I would hope that May would be 7,650 or something like that, keep that snowball going. And I guess the next stop on the map would be $8,000 a month from this portfolio. That would be my next big milestone, you guys. I'm really looking forward to hitting that. And then as far as my goal, $100,000 a year, we're 91% of the way there. So we're really closing in on that goal. That's an overview of the portfolio, you guys, the last month or so. And if you're curious about what I bought, we did get paid out last week. And what did I buy? So I bought 15 shares of HDIV. I did buy a bunch of HYLD within my tax-free savings, 85 shares, a little bit of QDay here, a little bit of HHIS as well. Did top up some ENCC at 25 shares, and yeah, some more QDay and HYLD. The one thing that I think I'm going to buy closer to the end of the month when I get paid out again will be some more HDIV, continue topping up my HDIV position. Right now, HDIV is paying me about, not quite $650 a month. I would really like to bring that number up. If I could get HDIV to $1,000 a month, I feel like that would be a really nice number to just anchor the portfolio a little bit more. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Leave me a like, leave me a comment if you like, and make sure that you are subscribed for future videos. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope everyone out there is having a great week, and I will catch you